Okay, welcome back, guys. This video is coming about 10 minutes after I finished recording my last one, so if I look familiar and my drink looks familiar, that is why. This is the second round of the Return to Davros campaign. It's actually like the third or fourth round, but it's my second game, so I've said round two. My list is basically the same as I discussed in my list review. Pretty similar to what I played last round. The main difference is the fact that I have... that's the wrong list. I'm not going back, I'm not changing it. There's 9 Spectral Hunters and no Vampire Spawn in this list, and there's a 4th Winged Reaper. Knowing what Tom had been taking for a couple of rounds of Warriors, I did actually make that change specifically because of his list, where I was like, he doesn't have any magical attacks. Spectral Hunter's probably good. This was a capital attack, which meant that basically, I think I went through the rules in the early, like my introduction thingo, but basically, because of other tales that I had, Tom didn't get all the bonuses that he might have otherwise, but he did get the ability to choose the secondary, choose the deployment type, choose who goes first, and choose who starts deploying. He didn't get to choose the map, but basically everything else in the pre-game he could do. What he brought for his list, he has an Evoc Master on a Steed who's kitted for a bit of combat. He's got a Barb Chief with the Burning Portent, which is pretty cool. I haven't seen it before, but he's decently scary and pretty cheap. He's got a block of Spear and Shield Barbs. He's got a block of Barb Horsemen. He's got some Fallen. He's got 9 Pride Warrior Knights. He's got 3 Chosen Knights of Wrath. He's got 4 Wretched Ones. He's got a Battle Shrine. He's got some Chaff. He's got a Feldrak Elder. And he's got a Giant who can, if it wants to, sit in the Barb unit. Another difference with my list from last round as well is that I didn't take the Ritual Altar because I think it sucks. I didn't record this before the game, so you're not getting my pre-playing the game thoughts on the list matchup. But I think it's pretty good. Like, I think he has some trouble dealing with my ethereal stuff. He doesn't have great tools to take down my general, like Hellfire and maybe Grave Calls on the Battle Shrine are basically the only good tools for that. But the Battle Shrine, like the range of Grave Calls is so short that it's not that big of a deal if I can avoid it because I'm pretty fast. So I thought it was quite a good matchup, but with all the advantages Tom has in choosing the pre-game stuff, I was thinking it was going to be pretty hard to win the game. But, we're going to see what happens. Oh, it's not going. There we go. So this is after my Vanguard. Yes, that's what this is. Okay. So basically, we rolled up this map. Tom had chosen... I don't know if it was before or after we got the map, but he chose Dawn Assault so that he could make my deployment hard because I've got that house in the way and the left corner cut off, and he chose Secure Target. I popped my objective up in the top left corner, he popped his down in the bottom right. And then I basically deployed... We did this like old school, because he could choose who deployed first and choose who went first. It meant there was no advantage to me or him dropping everything, so we were just exchanging drops one by one. My basic theory, and this sort of goes back to the problems I highlighted in the last video in trying to play my vampire army too wide when it can't march is a problem. Like, I've got Chaff over here. They're like, well, what's it going to do? It's 9-inch march Chaff at that point, because it's not going to be able to march unless I bring my general over to in some very sketchy ground to be able to give them march. Like, it's just not a good idea. But my general idea was Phantom Host trying to hold this up. Winged Reaper's probably coming over here to support whatever was down here. I think he had a couple more drops than me, and I dropped, this was my progressive thought as we each dropped things. But Winged Reaper's hoping to support over here. Phantom Host trying to hold things up. And then having these 2 units of Ghouls that would still try and go for that objective. And if I could hold him up enough and keep the ghouls alive, I'd probably be able to contest the objective up there at worst. But it is contingent on me holding him up to keep him away from the ghouls. And then I basically pop these guys over here going, you can't deploy in this bottom right corner. It's going to be very hard for you to stop a push from my general and my block of skellies. Yeah, because I don't really think that he could bring enough to bear over there to stop me from like scoring that objective was basically the point. As it turns out, he kind of can. You'll see what the situation was. I don't know where we're going to next. I've actually got a limited number of screenshots from this. I think I did 7 or something. So there's going to be a few jumps here, and we're just going to have to work with it. So this is after I charged his flayers and killed a guy, and he killed my unit. Like, crumbling as well, but killed my unit. A Hellfire, when I tried to stop Hellfire and I failed, went off against the Phantom Host, but it only rolled like 3 hits, I think. Did 3 wounds, didn't save any. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, even though I failed, I guess that's pretty bad luck, so that's okay. And yeah, otherwise I just pushed up sort of down here. And I'm basically thinking he's probably going to try and pit his Feldrax against my Skellies, but I don't know that I mind that. I think that eventually the Skellies with the BSB in there beat that Feldrax. Okay, how far away is it? What's happened? Okay. This is... Well, am I guys in the same... Yeah. Okay, so this is after his turn. Or maybe after his... Probably after his turn, because he's killed some things over here. So, he went into the flank of these guys, didn't kill them because he didn't do enough wounds or something. I think he only had 1 guy in contact at the time. This is after he reformed. His Sorcerer, who at the time... I didn't pay enough attention to his list when he sent it to me. At the time, I was just like, oh yeah, he's just like a regular Sorcerer. I don't need to be too worried about him. I didn't realize he had like the magical attacks and stuff. But, so I didn't actually want that. And if I don't know what I could have done differently after deployment, given that guy was there, but that was something that surprised me. I was like, maybe I could have done a few things a little bit smarter knowing that he's got magical attacks. Otherwise, yeah, he's keeping things out of 24 inches, which is my Horror's max scream range, basically. And this is his Barb Chief General down here, by the way. So... Okay, yeah. So, shockingly, at one point, my Spirit Hosts actually made a reform check. I think they're like Leadership 4 base, and I definitely lost the combat because I had to roll to reform. So, at best, that's Leadership 3, but they managed to make it, so good on them. I sent my Winged Reapers into the Barbs, which was a pretty optimistic charge, but I was sitting there going, like, I find Winged Reapers a bit hard to use because they've got these big bases and they're not autonomous. So I find them a bit hard to sort of shuffle around and get in a good position. And basically my theory here was, I charge in, he's got a fear check at Leadership 7 that he can't reroll. And then I've got a whole bunch of attacks, probably hitting him on 2s. And I'll kill a whole bunch of them. And then if he charges other things in, there's a decent chance that I'll have... I'll be able to like farm more wounds on the Barbs and then actually be okay. What I didn't realize until I was sort of positioning them in there was that these guys could... I might have realized it earlier, and I did it anyway, and it was just dumb. I don't really know. But these guys could charge in, and it wasn't just going to be the Wretched ones. And also the Wretched ones are in the rear, which means that they can charge my rear rather than both of them having to charge my flank. I also forgot that the Battle Shrine causes fear, and that it wouldn't be modified, like that his general was in range, so it wouldn't be 8. It would be a Leadership 9 check for the whole unit. Which, I mean, half my thing there was that like Leadership 7 break check with with a reroll. So Leadership 7 break check with a reroll. Sure, like he's a good chance to make that, but if he doesn't, then I've opened up this whole place, like the whole center, with a unit that I didn't really know what I was going to do with beforehand anyway. So That seems good. But all of that was basically wrong and a dumb idea, so they're just going to explode. The right-hand side's looking okay, though. This Feldrak is obviously going to be able to shuffle away to a pesky position, but I screamed some of those Fallen dead. I'm still happy pushing down here, and I've got my Spectral Hunters sort of guarding down the flank, so... Like, at this point of the game, I'm sitting there thinking, look, my opponent has played better. I'm doing some dumb things. I'm not playing very well myself. But I've got enough that maybe I can, I can roll with the punches. I've got a lot of points in my characters here anyway. So if I can get some of his more valuable stuff, maybe that's okay. And really, I only needed a 10 in this game. If I get a 10... I took his capital and got the victory, and that's all I needed. I took his capital down basically if I did that. Yeah, that's about it here. Winged Reapers are about to explode. I don't know what the next pitch is going to take us to. Alright, so a lot has happened. So his wizard killed himself on a miscast. It was only 555, but he wounded himself with... He'd taken a wound from combat. He wounded himself with both of the rolls, and then he had a save of some kind, but he failed them both, so he died. No, he didn't have a save, because he doesn't have a ward save. So yeah, it was pretty lucky for me, but I'll take it. What I basically did here, so with where the Feldrak was, if I'd charged, I wouldn't have been able to maximize. I shouldn't have cared. I should have just charged it, because I was going to have to charge it at some point anyway, and I've wasted my time. So I should have charged it this turn, but what I tried to do instead was position, and there's no point doing that. Blocked up these Fallen with my Knights, hoping that I could just beat them with a tough armor save. These guys still looking out there trying to sort of hold the flank, but they were chaffed by dogs, so their position is kind of... forced on them. I gave them +1 toughness in the magic phase, but with all the things that could charge them, I don't know if they were going to be fine anyway. I did chaff the unit of Barb Horsemen with my big guy. I say chaff, I mean, if he charged me, the Barb Chief might kill me, but I don't think he will, basically. And I was sort of just getting him into a position where he was going to be able to scare some stuff. Because I feel like, on full health, that guy can fight anything there. Probably except the Wretched Ones, because the Wretched Ones would take a while to kill. Yeah, I mean, the Wretched Ones would do some wounds, they'd take a while to kill, and the time it took me to kill them would probably be a problem for me getting countercharged by things. That's basically that. So he didn't charge my big guy. I don't even know if he charged my hunters. I don't think he did. He definitely didn't. Okay, so this is a while away. This is so what were we on? This was my turn 3. That means that in between then and now, we've had his turn and my movement at least. So yeah, that's where we're at here. So I ended up just sending the Spectral Hunters off because I was like, well, you need to roll a 10 or something to get them with the Wretched Ones. If you don't, I've got nothing valuable to do over here, basically. If you don't get them with the Wretched Ones, particularly because the Wretched Ones were about here, I had nowhere to put them where they weren't going to fight them. So I was like, if you have to go for the 10, if you make it, I'm dead, whatever. But if you don't, all the things over here are actually quite scared of them, so I might still be able to salvage the objective. He got there, and it meant well, I'm going to lose everything over here, and I'm going to lose the objective up there, but we'll see what we can do down here. In Magic, his Battle Shrine got off Grave Calls. I tried to stop it, but I couldn't. Which actually, I think I forgot I had MR2, but I'm not sure if it would have mattered in the end. But basically, I threw all my dice, he threw 4, maybe 5 at it. So, it's one of those things that, he's sort of just been able to force through. Because the Battle Shrine is obviously way less important to try and avoid miscasts on than it is for the value of actually killing my general. I took 5 wounds. So I shunted him over here, which is not where I wanted him, because I wanted him charging things and fighting things, but I didn't want him to die. So he came over here where then they could do some healing, and he healed 2 wounds back. This is actually Flayers have charged my skeletons after I charged his Feldrak and did 1 wound. I didn't really mean to zoom in there, to be honest. My Barrow Knights got down to like 1 wound or 2 wounds, and then brought them all the way back up, so they're holding up a couple of units here. I don't know what the next picture is. I'm just going to say what I did next, which is basically, I think this was the turn that these guys kind of... Yeah, no, sorry, this is my opponent's movement phase, yeah. So in this turn, the Spectral Hunters exploded. The skeleton combat was fine, I think. I maybe killed one of these guys. That didn't do many to me. I got so many bodies there that it's hard to crumble me too bad, to be honest. I did a wound or 2 to his big guy. My Barrow Knights rolled really well on their saves. And stuck, because they had 2 guys left. And one of them was only there because of the BSB. But even if the BSB wasn't there, they would have stuck on 1. So what I did in my turn was, after he reformed his Flayers that they were out of line of sight of my Necro in the ruins here, my Necro charged in to the Barb Horseman. My General charged in, because then the Necro can take the challenge if it came. So then my guy can just farm wounds here. And then I didn't really need to worry too much. I maybe was trying to heal my guys still up a bit, but I just want to buff this Skelly combat and get them to win, because basically I need them in the next 2 turns to get down into this objective. Or these guys, but I didn't actually think about them, and that was actually a problem that'll probably come up in the next slide. How many pictures do I have left? Okay, this is the last picture. Which isn't great. So I'm going to go back to the next one and explain what happened. So, in the next turn or something, whatever happened, I killed the Feldrak over the next 2 rounds of combat. The Flayers fled, and I had a choice where I looked at it and I went, I can't make it to the objective right now. If his giant charges me in the flank, I probably can't make it down. Maybe I would have just been steadfast and been able to reform along. Okay, yeah, that actually probably would have worked. So I was looking at this going, I'm going to be charged by the giant and he's going to hold me up. What I probably could have done, or the giant could just move and chaff me, and then I wouldn't be able to make it there. But I probably would, after I'd moved 8 inches down. Probably would have been able to. Yeah, so a couple of dumb decisions then. So, I was looking at this going, this giant's going to stop me from going to the objective. What he can't do is he can't stop me if I charge him. So this is his position when I won the combat. So I was able to, if I pursue these guys, charge into his flank with my ranks, and actually pretty decent output from the BSB and fairly decent output from the unit as well. So I was like, I can kill that giant or at least break it because I'm charging in its flank with a whole bunch of ranks and 2 banners. Once I've killed the giant or made it flee, I'm just going to restrain, I'm going to go long, and then I'm going to be able on my last turn to get to that objective. I charged the giant and did maybe 5 wounds, and he went fucking ballistic on me, and needed like a leadership 5 or 6 break test, I think. Maybe worse than that. I don't know. The point is, though, he held, and it wasn't like a double 1, like, you're so fucking lucky you held. So he held, and it was like, darn. I wish that had gone better. And as soon as that happened, it meant that I couldn't get the objective. Because even if I killed him in his turn, I couldn't, there wasn't a way for me to get down there. Doubting myself here. Regardless of whatever it was, I couldn't get down there. I had to... So when I charged my big man and my Necro in here, we won the combat, but we didn't kill all of the Barb Horsemen. So my theory was, if I overrun with my Necro, I get into the Battle Shrine pretty reliably, and then I need an 11 to get into... to get out of the front arc of the Battle Shrine. Which means that if I send my Necro in, he locks the Battle Shrine in place, and then if I do manage to get the 11, I'm not going to get hit with Grave Calls, because I'll be out of the front arc. I think the reason for that was mainly that my big guy didn't have anything else to do. So like he couldn't have charged the barbs or he could have, but I was like, I might die after things anyway. It was basically sort of like, I don't think I had a better option. Or anyway, or maybe the points on the barbs didn't matter that much when I was adding things up. Regardless of how it came about, I was basically like, I don't have a better thing to do with my general, so I may as well go for the 11. And because sacrificing my Necromancer didn't change the bandings for the points, I'm able to do that. That's fine. The big mistake I made was I also pursued with my Barrow Knights that way when I should have just... I don't know, I wasn't thinking about the objective. I think I was just assuming, like, that giant's toast, so I don't need to worry about the Barrow Knights going for the objective. I should have kept them facing downwards, so that they could go into the objective on turn 6, and I didn't. I sent them up that way, and that screwed them. In fairness to my opponent, he said that he would have grave called the Knights rather than my general, which makes total sense because, I would have needed them to get into the objective. And he did get grave calls off, and I did try to spell it again, but I failed. He didn't kill my general, which was fortunate. But I'm pretty sure, I don't 100% remember, but I'm pretty sure even with a 5-up save on the Barrow Knights, I think he would have done the 2 wounds to kill them, because I think he did 2 wounds to my general. And he would have actually done more wounds because they're lower. However, I don't know. However it happened. Pretty confident he would have killed my Barrow Knights. So it was kind of a moot point anyway, but I did make that mistake where I should have had them going down for that objective when I, for no reason, sent them off to the left. Didn't kill the giant, so I couldn't get the objective. So at the end, I'd killed these barb horsemen, or like they were fleeing and below 25%. I flew my guy over to scream these guys to death to finish them. So I finished in terms of with units left alive, with the Skelly block, the BSB, the Necro, the Big Man, and the Barrow Knights. And my opponent had... so when he cast Grave Calls, he also managed to like roll 4 6s and kill his Battle Shrine, by the way. My opponent lost all of these, because I did kill the giant. Eventually, it was just too late for me to go down to get the objective. These guys might have been fleeing, or I don't know. But he basically had all the points on the right here. I had all my points down on the left here. But what that ended up on in terms of points was a 12-8 to me. But because he had the whole of the objective up here, it was an 11-9 to him. As I said, I needed a 10. So I didn't get anything from this game, basically. But it was heaps of fun. Like, as I sort of said at the start, like, my positioning with VC needs work. I need to figure out that sort of like bubble dependency and all that sort of stuff. My list wants to play wide, but maybe that's just a dumb thing for VC to do. Particularly with chaff. Like, chaff is the biggest thing for me, where I'm sort of like, a lot of the time, this game it was a bit of a problem that these guys, for instance, like the Phantom Host couldn't march. And didn't matter so much for the Ghouls. There's, like, I'm a little bit there in terms of, like, there are elements of my list that I'm like, that's fine, they don't have to march. Like, they're not really in there needing to do that. But particularly with chaff, I need to get better at positioning them so that they'll actually be useful and within general range, whilst hopefully not compromising the fact that I do have a list that likes to play wide and is actually very mobile. In this game, I think my opponent definitely played better than me, basically. He got unlucky losing his wizard. I can't remember everything else. Oh, I mean, getting 2 grave calls, getting 2 hellfires off on the Phantom Hosts and doing a total of 3 wounds was pretty ridiculous. Those are the 2 that stand out in my mind. But overall, I'm pretty sure, like, apart from this one little snafu with the giant here, which was kind of important, I guess, but he deserved at least an 11 from this game. I think that he deserved probably like a 14 or a 15 based on how much better than me he played. So even though I was sort of like that close to drawing the objective and getting a 12-8 win, I think the result was much more deserving for Tom to win the game, to be honest. This is the last... So there's a little bit of discussion happening about what will happen with the campaign. But basically, in this round, Tom, with the Skyship, managed to attack enough capitals that he has gotten the 16 points needed to win. So he's won it. Some people are sort of still wanting to do it. To be honest, I don't really want to. For a few reasons that I won't really get into. But I like the list, so I can't really take it to a real life tournament. I don't know how many more online events I'm going to be doing in general, to be honest. I don't have any of these models. I have some ghouls. Okay, I have some of these models, but I don't have a full vampire army, and I certainly don't have enough to run this list. I might try and keep testing it, because I really enjoy it, so it might just be a thing that I play in casual games and stuff. But if the situation arises where it's not in a hyper-competitive environment, like one of the team's tournaments run by the USETC guys, where I would just get stomped if I'm not running the very best that I can run. If there's an opportunity that arises, I'll probably try and run this list again, because I really find it quite cool and quite fun. And it's interesting trying to get better at vamps and realizing some very obvious mistakes, but I know the obvious mistakes for some of the movement stuff, and I still don't really have an easy solution for how I'm going to be this is what I'm going to do better. Because I'm yeah, but I needed the dogs over here, and I want my general here. So, I can't have both. And yeah, I don't really know what the good solution to that is. I think it's just better play, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. So this is probably going to be my last game for the event. I don't really want to play anymore. So I might. It depends. Sorry, excuse me. Depends what happens. I don't want to be a person who drops out of something and makes things more difficult for other people. But it'll depend on who tries to attack. I'm probably not going to attack anyone because I'm not interested in continuing doing things. Depends on who attacks me and if I want to play them. Otherwise, they can just take the win. I don't really give a shit. Yeah, so we might see this list again, but otherwise, we've still got the Smith F event. I was considering doing another video for that tonight, but I'm a little bit sick of sitting here at the computer. I've got one game that I've already played of that, in round 4, so I've got one more round of that. I've got a real life event in January, which I haven't fully decided what I'm taking to yet. I have a few ideas, but don't want to tip my hand too much. I will hopefully be able to, 1, remember to take pictures, and 2, get together. Because at the moment, when I'm doing one game a week, it's sort of a bit easier to do the battle reports for it. It doesn't all build up on me. But when I've got 5 games sort of backed up where I'm I need to do all these, it's a little bit more intimidating of a process. But hopefully, my plan is to take pictures and to have actual real-life battle reports, which will be an interesting experience because you don't get this nice top-down view. So it might be more difficult for me to explain where everything is and what everything's doing. But we'll see how it goes once I actually give it a go. Anyway, guys, until next time, enjoy yourself.